you want to avoid that risky mistake, and those emotions just stop you from doing any of that, right?
If the market's been feeling a little shaky, you're not alone. It can be uncomfortable to watch things move around, especially when the headlines are full of election talk. The good news? Midterm election years have looked like this before. In this episode, we'll talk about what usually happens in the markets during these kinds of years, why the ups and the downs don't last forever, and how a shift in mindset can help you see this time as an opportunity. Hello, and welcome to Money on Your Mind from Edelman Financial Engines. I'm Michael Liersch, a behavioral scientist, financial planner, and your chief planning officer at EFE. Thanks for joining us for a conversation about how people are feeling about money, what they're wrestling with, and how financial planning can help you straighten things out. Today, we're here with Aaron Kirkland, an EFE financial planner. Aaron's been with us for a number of years and been a planner for over 2 decades. So Aaron, before I tell people a little bit more about you and you introduce yourself, I just wanted to welcome you to the podcast.
Thank you, Michael. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Well, Aaron, I know you have 4 kids. You're passionate about planning. You're passionate about the work you do with your clients. We're going to talk again a little bit about midterm elections and uncertainty and markets and investing. But before we do that, can you share with our listeners, they'd like to know a little bit about you, where you live, what you like to do, why you're in the business of providing financial advice?
Happy to. So I'm Aaron Kirkland, a financial advisor here with Edelman Financial Engines, based out of Fairfax, Virginia. So I'm a single father first to 4 incredible children, including my oldest, who is low functioning, special needs. That experience really deeply shaped like how I connect with the special needs community, just caregiving in general. I've been in the industry for about 24 years. I started my career working with the self-directed folks, helping them navigate very noisy markets, using more of a rule-based systematic way of deciding who to buy, how much to buy, when to sell. What that experience really taught me quickly is that even slightly like motivated or highly motivated clients struggle to succeed long term when they're making those emotional decisions in a very loud setup. That passion eventually led me here, just marrying my experience with Edelman Financial Engines, more holistic approach to investing and wrapping my arms around the entire financial health and really addressing all areas of the wealth management issues. I love what I do for people all across the United States. And we're not just managing portfolios, we're helping people make better decisions across the entire financial lives.
Well, Aaron, I know we share our passion, especially around this topic of helping people make better financial or money decisions. And I really appreciate you sharing both on the personal side, your family situation, a single father, having a child who is low functioning and special needs. I know that's a really predominant actual like family dynamic in the United States. And so you sharing that with our listeners is extremely meaningful. Thank you so much for all that you do. And let's just get into it. The topic at hand, which is midterm elections, how people are feeling, the noise around that. Can you just tell us a little bit about what your clients are saying, what the people who maybe aren't even clients, you're at cocktail parties, hanging out, in sports games, like what are you hearing?
So there's a lot of concern around very heavy, very loud headlines. It's causing a lot of fear. I mean, the media is really good at what they do. They've been doing this for decades and decades. They know how to push.
They're behavioral scientists too, Aaron.
Exactly.
Right?
They're very good at it. And so no one really knows what tomorrow's going to look like. And when people look back historically, the data tells us something really interesting. I mean, 2026 is what we call a mid-election year. And so that's a year that usually ends where we started with slightly positive results. And however, there's a lot of volatility that happens between January 1st and December 31st, right? Everything from local government noise to there's an uncertainty around interest rates, what that's going to look like, the Fed chair being challenged, and then you throw in a war that affects oil and gas and what that's doing to the average consumer, the average household. It's putting a lot of stress on their spending. I was just talking to one of my clients, a restaurant owner out of Florida, and he was telling me about his typical cost for a box of tomatoes is normally $50, and he's spending over
Okay.
100 for that same box of tomatoes.
So
And
double.
double. And that it's not just the tomatoes. I mean, it really ties back to energy prices, and the costs eventually get passed along to the consumer, and people feel it immediately. And all of all of that fuels fear. And but the most important part, volatility can be beneficial if used correctly. I know it's really easy to allow our emotions to dictate what to do in that moment, right? But having a plan going into a volatile market like what we're experiencing here can be really helpful to the average consumer.
What does that sound like exactly, Aaron? What's the opportunity here? Is it to buy investments when they're on sale? Is it to take advantage of a particular tax opportunity, like a Roth conversion when markets are at a lower point? Like where would you point, that client to?
Here's how I look at it and what my people that I work with view me, right? They have this visual of me just looking at their portfolio with a big smile on my face, right? When the market pulls back, because there's so much we can do at those levels. It's like walking over to Costco, right? And everything's on sale. And that's a fantastic time to go ahead and buy, right? And when having a plan going into that, it's it allows us sure to get in at the discounted level. We don't know exactly how low the market's going to go. That's fine, right? It could go even lower than where it's at or where it went just a couple weeks ago. That's okay. That's perfectly fine. But introducing that cash at those levels, that's fantastic. A tax loss harvesting approach where we sell losses, we capture those losses, and then replace it with a peer can be extremely powerful over time, not just from an investment lens, right, but also from a tax lens too. And so these are a lot of different strategies that we can introduce when the market does pull back, and but it's just more opportunity than anything. Yeah.
So this reframing from fear to opportunity, what would you suggest then if we're going to link it back to the media, link it back to things like midterm election cycles, link it back to the conflict in Iran? How should people then focus more on the opportunities you're highlighting rather than on that noise? What's the advice you would give?
I will say a lot of this comes well in advance of any type of correction, right? That type of communication of, okay, this is what your portfolio is going to look like during that correction, right? As planners, as we get ahead of this event by talking to you about, okay, what does that market low look like for you, right? Whether it's taking advantage of tax-free growth by making your contributions, right? Or we do some conversions at that point. Again, going back to that disclosure, I'm not a CPA, right? This is for educational purposes only, but working closely with your CPA, making the right decisions that would benefit you long term on the tax side, saving more of those dollars in your pocket versus maybe spending it on the IRS. And then there's opportunity at those lows, right? Whether it's introducing some of that cash that you've been saving for some time, or maybe it's building that legacy with your kids and thinking, okay, this might be a good time to really fund that grandchild's 529, right? So that they can take advantage of that growth as well. And so there's just so much of that discussion that happens well in advance of that event. And that way,
I
when
love
they do
that.
see that or hear the headlines, they're thinking, great, we have a plan already and we talked through this plan, and so they're feeling confident knowing that over time the market does really well. It's just it doesn't feel very good in the moment.
I love that reframe because it actually takes the energy level, which is the connection here, to a different place than the media is trying to propagate. So instead of, to your point, bedlam, it actually can create even more organization around your financial life, more confidence in your financial life than you had before. Because ideally, you've worked with a professional or someone you trust to prepare for these moments so you can take that action in a very deliberate way. So thank you for that. Couple questions before we close. The first one is, we always like to ask, Aaron, what is the biggest mistake you're seeing clients making when there's this midterm election noise, when there's all this noise around conflict and volatility? What's the biggest mistake you're seeing clients make?
So the biggest mistake that clients make is jumping to the sidelines, right, in cash. And it may feel really important in the moment to do so, right? Because the fear is, I've worked so many years to build up this wealth. This represents more than just last year's savings, right? It's over the course of maybe 30, 40 years of savings. And I'm seeing tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands leave my account within a short amount of time. It doesn't feel good. And many of us have experienced what it's like to lose money during 2008, right? The Great Recession. It doesn't feel good. Now, you want to turn off the faucet as fast as you can. That's an easy decision for most, is to jump to the sidelines. It's really, really hard to get back in. Very hard to get back in. And you want to avoid that risky mistake, and those emotions just stop you from doing any of that, right? And so the expected result would be, hey, I am selling low and buying high. And then you lose out on all that growth during that time. The other mistakes that I see is people turning the faucet not just off of their 401k distributions or their taxable distributions to prevent them from experiencing life, right? So they worked so hard for so long to be able to save, but then that emotional shift to save, from save to, hey, now I need this money to outlast me. I got to lean on this wealth to generate income. What scares me more is that you're not enjoying this wealth while your quality of life is strong. A lot of people who are right out of the gate, they go into retirement, they're young. They can climb that mountain. They can go on that cruise. They can do a lot of different things. But a lot of times they don't do it because the media is coaching them, right, to just hold on to their wealth, shove it under a mattress, or do something, right, to protect themselves. But they really should be experiencing a lot of that before age. I mean, we all have an expiration date, but age prevents us from doing a lot of that, or it could be a health concern, right? And so I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see is people stop their life in the hope of a market recovery. And so that's, not to.
Aaron, I really appreciate you sharing that, and don't let the noise that you hear externally prevent you from doing those things that have a time horizon or some type of kind of like temporary moment where you can actually take action on it and use that hard-earned money, because at the end of the day, the money is just a tool, right, Aaron, to do those things. And so I really appreciate that. I like that idea a lot. And when you have, again, a trusted professional or a partner to help you navigate those things thoughtfully, really make sure you're enjoying those moments and taking advantage of them. So the last question I have for you, Aaron, is, and we also like to ask this on the podcast, what's one thing that you think everyone should do right now in their financial life?
Absolutely. Think about that next memory. We spend a lifetime giving everything we have to a very high demand career, right? Invest a little bit of time in yourself, really giving some thought to, okay, what is that next memory should look like, right? Whether it be retirement or now, you don't have to wait till retirement for this, but really give some thought to that. And with the right plan, we can solve for all of that, but also communicate what that plan is. It's success is just a combination of just having the right people, right? The right team in place. So involving your planner, involving your spouse or whatever that inner circle should look like, but really give some thought to what that memory is. And then we start planning how best to solve for it. The right timing, the right distribution, the right saving plan. There's so much that we can discuss. But I think that is probably, how I would best answer that question.
So it's interesting you put it that way. So there's in behavioral finance and behavioral science, there's a narrative where the human mind, what it values most is what it remembers.
That's right.
And so I really like this idea of using money to really drive forward things that you'll remember and value the most. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the memory is always just like a fun thing, Aaron, right? It could be a challenge. It could be educating yourself, right?
It's true.
There's a lot in what you just said. So
thank
you for that wisdom.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, there's one client story that I wanted to share with you too, because it really hits home when it comes to this. A lot of clients ask me the question, hey, what should I do for my retirement, right? As soon as I retire, what do I do with that time? And what are other clients doing with it? And so I have a client that I think about often that I love going to their house. They travel the world together. It's very important for them to do so. And they bring home with them a postcard from every place that they've been. And they end up framing this postcard and they put it in this hallway. It's a very long hallway, but it's just completely covered with postcards from all over the world. And you watch them light up. So when they point to one place that they've been to, they talk to me about what they did at that location. And maybe it was shared with a grandchild, right? But they share that experience with me, and I just absolutely love that tradition of theirs. It's beautiful, but it represents a lot of memories.
Taking the trip. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say taking the trip down memory lane very literally, right, Aaron?
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a good practice. It's a good practice. So thank you, Aaron, for, again, everything that you shared with us. That's a great way to end this idea of reframing, moving beyond the noise, looking at things as an opportunity to use your money intentionally to build those memories that you can reflect on and that will inspire also future decision making. So thank you for all that you do, Aaron. We're so grateful you're on the podcast.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, so that's everything we have for you today. This has been Money on Your Mind. A big thanks to financial planner Aaron Kirkland for joining me, and we'll be back next Wednesday with a new episode. Subscribe to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube so you don't miss it. And we'd appreciate it if you left us a rating too. I'm Michael Liersch from Edelman Financial Engines. Talk to you next time.